John, Merry Christmas. Early Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
It's
early
only
Merry Christmas. We're not there yet, but we're
nope.
getting close.
Yeah, we are. It's the 11th today. While we're doing this, and this is going to go up this weekend. But this particular movie that we're discussing today is The Bishop's Wife, and this one was my pick. But I owe a lot of this to my niece Alicia, who this was a movie that for one reason or another I hadn't gotten around to watching until maybe 5, 6 years ago.
I had never heard of this movie until you chose it.
Really, yeah, it was one that was on my radar sort of, but I always just kind of like thought of it as maybe like it's probably an okay movie. The first time I watched it, I was really just thrilled, enchanted by the movie, and really glad that uh, that I saw it, and I was like, wow, this is one that I'd watch every year. And pretty much every year since then, I've checked it out again. So yeah, I truly enjoy the movie. Part of it, I don't know, it was just some the main stars, Cary Grant, Loretta Young, David Niven, and Monty Woolley. They were ones that I don't know. Growing up, I looked at it as like they were like the dry people that you watched if you were like my parents. It was like not me. But of course, as I've grown as a movie fan, I really became aware of just how great a lot of these other actors that I considered more stiff and um,
Yeah, I gotta say, after watching this movie, I don't know if you could find a more charming person in the movies than Cary Grant. Like
Cary Grant.
he brought his A game.
Yeah, he's perfect in this role, and he's got this just the way he. First of all, let me before we go any further,
Yep.
why don't you give the intro, and
Okay, okay.
then we'll go
So
further.
this week's movie is Bishop's Wife, 1947, starring Cary Grant, David Niven, and Loretta Young. Um, David Niven plays a bishop, and it's funny. A denomination is never defined,
Yeah.
but a few of the sources I read said, but he's obviously an Episcopalian bishop. And I'm like, where do you see that? Like, where in this movie is it obvious that they're Episcopalian? But that's beside the point.
Well, that could be true. For one thing, he's a married bishop. It
Mhm.
follows similar to the Catholic Church, but Catholic priests cannot be married. Obviously, he's not Catholic, but Episcopalian could definitely be. There's a few other denominations that could fit into. Um, so yeah, but yeah, keep going.
So he's in the process of raising funds for a glorious new cathedral.
Yeah,
And he feels pressure about it such that it's taking time and energy away from his time with his wife and daughter. And
right.
so they're becoming increasingly more estranged and under pressure, each of their own. Um, at one point, uh, Niven's character, the bishop, prays for help. And lo and behold, Cary Grant's character, Dudley, shows up right away, introducing himself as an angel.
Yeah,
Niven is obviously dubious at first, but certain things prove Cary
yeah.
Grant's Cary Grant's point. Um, and he goes about to help the bishop, though for most of the movie, I don't think the bishop sees Cary Grant as helping.
No, no. If anything, because he's dealing with something that's overwhelming. He's dealing with a lot of rich people who are like trying to manipulate him into how he builds the cathedral, and including this one really wealthy rich woman who she wants to build like a little. uh, chapel inside within the church just for her husband with this really magnificent uh, plaque and emblem showing that her husband's funds were what built the church. And it's not really what the bishop wants to do, but he's feeling so stressed about whether or not he can. And this is the woman that's the rich woman.
Mrs.
Um,
Trimble.
yes, yeah, yes,
And she is poor.
yeah, she is. She absolutely is. Um, but that's Gladys Cooper, I believe. But anyway, um, like I said, she's really putting the pressure on him, and he's actually going against his better principles just because he's trying desperately to get this built. And like growing up Catholic, um, you and I have been in many really magnificent cathedrals
Oh, totally.
in Europe, in Canada, lots of places. I mean, we've been in some of the most we've been in the shrine at Lourdes, at Fatima. We've
Yeah,
been
these are
in
structures that easily took decades to build and have been
yeah
standing
Saint
for
Saint Angie
centuries.
Beaupart. We've been there to Saint Joseph's in Canada. We used to make a lot of trips to Canada, but you could get lost in those cathedrals.
Mhm.
And so and on the one hand, when you stand inside of one of them, they're works of art. And when you stand inside of them, you're looking up at the high ceilings and the frescoes and and you're like, oh my God. And so, which the cathedrals were designed to make you, supposedly to make you just feel this like this is like God's glory. It was designed to make you look up in awe at what you were seeing. And I can see that. I can see, why people might do that, to design these magnificent structures that are a tribute to God. But too often, I think man sometimes is so intent on building something that's as much a tribute to them that
Mhm.
built it as it is uh, to something that's for God. So, and the angel, one of the big points he's making um, is this the best use of money for to help out God's people. And especially this movie was made right after the end of World War II
Mhm.
and 1947, and people were in dire need all over Europe for sure, and in a lot of places that were really hurting. And so on the one hand, you do want to get everything back to normal and live normally, but on the other hand, it's like, well, people need help too.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of points in this movie that are made. It's like I said, beautifully done movie. I don't know how you felt. Cary Grant really was making me laugh a lot of times. He would be frustrating the bishop, and he always had this like little smile on his face, and he'd be just like,
Cary Grant is the main reason to watch this movie.
He really is. It's an unbelievable performance, and he's so funny. He's so likable, um, and he's what you would think of, in down through like biblical history when you read the Bible and descriptions of angels and they always describe them as being beautiful, and people just like being drawn to them, and it's um, this is like every woman that's in this movie, as soon as they see Cary Grant, they're like just drawn to him. And the men like him. He's Monty Woolley. He brings that guy right out of his shell, makes him a new man out of the guy.
Yeah,
So,
because he keeps feeding him sherry.
yes, that's true.
Oh, yeah, have some more sherry. Let me fill that bottle up for
He
you.
gifts he gifts him with an unending bottle of sherry. I thought
I'm
that
not
was
sure if that's a gift or a curse.
well, but the guy Monty Woolley wasn't exactly a young man. He was worried about. He says to at one point to the angel, "Am I going to finish my book before I die?" And he says, "Yes, you will. Don't worry about it. You will." And so yeah, I think he truly he truly was helping the old guy, but yeah, he has different ways of he doesn't always help people in the way that you might expect. And what's hysterical too is how he goes about pulling the bishop back from the precipice of what he's trying to do and making him realize the importance of what he's got right around him, which is his kid and his wife. And his wife, played by Loretta Young, um, she's this beautiful, sweet woman that any man would want for a wife.
And
And
some angels.
yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah,
I gotta say that that avenue they took in the story was a little odd to me. Because you think of angels as these pure celestial beings,
yeah.
and here we're seeing some sinful desire
Well,
in
I
man's
mean,
heart.
let's when you go back again, you're talking about the Bible and biblical history. Um, there's there's been stuff in the Bible written about uh, possible interaction between humans and angels, and even stuff where humans actually thought they could maybe visit evil on an angel too. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah, I don't know whether it was Sodom or Gomorrah, probably Sodom, but but um but there's a scene where they go to visit Lot and his wife, and if I have this correct, and there's this mob outside the door that's trying to get him to release the angels to him, which that was the last thing they wanted. um, but um, but they're demanding the angels to the point that Lot actually offers one of his virgin daughters to the crowd to try to appease them because the angels have sanctuary in his home, and he can't release them even though this mob is threatening violence. And they didn't even they were like, nope, we bring out those those two angels. But we're off track here. But I'm just saying there is some stuff with angels and human attraction to them and stuff. So, but yes, the angel actually confesses at one point that he's saying, "Well, I have to go," and she's saying, "Well, will you ever come back?" And he says, "Not likely." And he pretty much says, "When I start feeling the way I do, it's impossible to return." But and he's even when he's getting ready to leave, there's even he looks up and he's like, "I'm going, I'm going." It's like somebody's telling him like, "Yeah, it's all right, buddy. You've used up your time here." But no, it's a beautiful story, and he not only restores Loretta Young, he not only restores her, back to the happy person that she was, but he also makes David Niven, the bishop, start to really appreciate and see his family for what it is, including his wife. And that's part of the beauty of the story is that because he's sure that the angel's trying to take his wife away.
Well, I mean,
And
okay, now hear me out here.
yeah,
They're scheduled to observe the practice of a boys' choir.
yes,
Um, the bishop, Niven,
yeah,
can't go because he's got an appointment with that woman that he's trying to get funding from.
right.
And so he begrudgingly sees his wife off with Cary Grant to go view the boys' choir. Well, this guy visits the woman. He tries to make it to the choir in time,
And he can't get out of that chair.
and he can't get out of that chair. Now, what was the angel's purpose of that, if not stealing time with that guy's wife?
Um, I definitely feel like that was part of making him appreciate and want his wife again.
Uh,
It's there's an old saying that a man never appreciates his woman more than when another man wants her. And and I think that could be that's certainly true for both sexes, both men and women. If they realize that there is somebody else that desires their mate, it makes you appreciate who you've got a lot a lot
But
more
we're not
so.
talking about that situation here.
Well, we are
We're
because
talking
this
about the bishop and his wife with a celestial being that magically prevented him from leaving.
right, but it's like I said,
That's a
he's at
little
the by
different.
the time this thing happened with the chair, he was at the point where he was starting to become really jealous of the angel and his wife. They
Right.
were
So he did the job. He saw.
he's but it was he was it's just like when you're watching A Christmas Carol and you're watching Scrooge, he sees the ghost of Christmas past. Okay, and he wakes up and he's changed a little bit.
Yep.
But they didn't stop there. They didn't say, okay, well, he's had enough. They said, no, we're going to send him the ghost of Christmas present. Let's just see what's going on right now in your world, right around you. And then still that wasn't enough. They didn't say, okay, he's had enough. Let him go on with his life. They felt like, no, we need to pound this really into this guy because he's a hard nosed miser. And so they made him look at what was going to happen in the future, which was his death. And it was a death, an inglorious death.
An
Um,
unmarked death.
yeah. So the angel does the same thing with him. He not only makes him really start realizing, like, wow, I'm losing my woman here. And had he not been an angel, he could have lost his wife because the angel didn't have or wasn't trying to have designs on his wife. There is that little thing going on, but
I saw the chair thing as egregious and somewhat ill-spirited.
I actually truly enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious. Just the very fact that he's trying to get his butt out of the chair, and this woman is so dignified, and she's like, "Oh, I couldn't imagine what's happened," and 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 she's standing there, kind of mortified that the bishop has got his butt caught on varnish on a chair. So to the point they have to actually go send him a new pair of pants so he can redress to get over to. But again, the angel made him realize what he's missing. Those are things. It's kind of like if you ever watch the movie Click with what's his
Adam
name
Sandler.
Adam Sandler, where he's a busy man that finds that he can press a remote control and pause his life so he can get extra things done. And this remote control starts becoming really important. And what he starts realizing is that when he pauses with the remote control, or fast forwards or rewinds, he's actually losing parts of his life. All of a sudden, he realizes, well, my daughter's older. My this is happening in my life. That's happened. These things, and he realizes I'm losing time to the point where he's actually. It's kind of almost like Scrooge he's on his deathbed, and he's like, "What happened? I just want to turn this all back." And it's like you have the opportunity to either experience life with your family, life with your friends, or you can skip through it. And with this guy, he wasn't skipping through it. What this guy was doing was just ignoring it and letting things go on. He had a very unhappy wife that was a really good wife, and
And if this were a purely innocent angel encounter, I might I might say you're right, but it's very obvious that Cary Grant's character has feelings for the wife. He cannot be an unbiased participant.
he does and he doesn't. He does, but
He,
he's
he
but
does
he's
and he resists it, but he
he
does.
yes, and he also that develops over time. He sees her as this really beautiful human being, and he's telling the bishop, right on through, you've got this incredible wife here, and the bishop is just so busy that everything he snaps at her, he snaps at his kids, He's impatient with everybody,
Yeah, I
except that
gotta
he's
admit, he was horrible too.
well, he was in the sense that he was again, people get caught up. I could point out people all over the world, people that I know personally, people that I just know of, and they're people that are so caught up in their day-to-day work-a-day life. And it could be whether it's something that's a hobby to the person, whether it's a guy that comes home and all he does is watch sports when he comes home and doesn't spend any time with his family, or whether it's a woman that goes out and she's involved with some social activities and doesn't spend time with her family, whatever it is. There's people like that, or just someone that's just busy with their career. Your career is great. If you love your career, that's great. But you need to appreciate because they're so fleeting. That's one of the things. I mean, being an old guy, that's one of the things that I see in life is that life is fleeting, and we look at our time here, and it's brief. And if you don't spend the time and take care of the right things, it's gone. And that's what the angel ultimately makes the bishop aware of, to the point where he pretty he pretty much ruins. He shows up at the old lady's house and starts playing the harp. By the way, which I thought was hilarious that they had a harp. And it turned out he made the woman realize she had married her husband for money, and she had a
Mhm.
lot of guilt probably because she did, and she was actually in love with a composer that had died or gone away, whatever happened to him, and she spent her whole life really just being frustrated with the fact that she lost her true love and she married for money. You can't hide those lion eyes. But as the Eagles once said. But no, he convinces her that she should help uh, people in the world with her money, and when she tells the bishop that, he's like, "Wow, this angel has really screwed me over." But but he didn't. He made him well aware of what was important in life, and
What's the
and
thing? He
so
says you didn't pray for a building, you prayed for help.
yes, exactly. And when you ultimately what a prayer is, you are asking for help. You're not necessarily, if you believe in prayer, if you believe in God, you're not necessarily going to be helped the way you want to be helped. You're you're going to be helped the way that if you, like I said, if you're someone that believes in God, you believe God's going to help you the way you should be helped, what's ultimately good for you. And so that to me is what I've always been raised to believe about prayer is that that's why they say be careful what you wish for, be careful what you pray for, because you might get it, you might get it differently than what you thought you were going to get it. But it's a beautiful movie. It's a sweet movie. It's kind of like there's a little bit of a love story. It's almost like a little bit of a menage a trois, shall we say? But no, and even the little kid, he convinced that the kid can't play with there's a bunch of boys playing with snowballs, and she's trying to get in on the snowball fight, and he goes over there and he convinces her that yeah, you can throw, and she ends up throwing, hitting. And by the way, the little boy that's in that scene, that
Yeah.
little boy is the boy who plays. He's the same actor who plays the young Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, really?
Yes. So for anybody that's looking for a little bit of a trivia thing, I don't have a picture of him in the scene, but that is actually uh, the young Jimmy Stewart. He's the kid you see working in the drugstore that gets his ear whacked, and the kid that you see out with his brother. They're sledding on shovels because back in the 30s, not everybody had a shovel or a sled, so a shovel would sometimes make do. But yeah, so he's actually in the movie too. Another little cameo appearance. Um,
And so I'm in agreement. This is a very sweet Christmas movie. Few things struck me as odd.
Yeah.
One, how rich is this bishop? His
Um,
house is a freaking mansion. He has at least three house staff working for him.
right.
I mean, I am not
Well,
aware the bishops were that well off.
right. Well, probably not. Um, when you um, even priests in the Catholic Church, they usually live in a rectory. Um, the rectory is sometimes houses one, two, maybe three priests, depending on how big the parish is, and they usually have a housekeeper and cook that's hired and furnished by the parish. Everything that's in the parish that's provided for the priest is provided by the parish and by parish expenses. Um, his food, the furniture that's in the house. If he needs something new in the house for the house for furniture, he's not supposed to be buying grand stuff, but some do. And then as far as the car, I mean, they provide a car. I have definitely seen back when I was younger. I remember seeing some priests, um, Monsignor Casey, um, used to drive a Cadillac. So I didn't
Every
see.
time I saw an interior shot of this guy's house,
Yeah,
I was just struck by, I mean, you could almost describe it as opulent. It's an
yeah.
incredible house.
Oh, it is. But again, he's a bishop now. He's no longer, thanks to this rich woman, he was promoted to a bishop. He's not just a regular
You know what the
parish.
average bishops get paid right now?
Well, it's not their pay. A priest doesn't get paid much either. A priest gets a moderate wage.
Are you saying this home is the church's?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Yep. It's provided by the church. I mean, I can't say distinctly that's what it is, but I would say there's a 99% chance that was provided for him. Usually when a priest or a bishop or whatever shows up in a new community, there is usually already a place for him, and there's usually staff. And this woman that's behind you, she probably worked for the previous bishop. So and he just when he took over, she's like, oh well, this is the new boss in town. So I mean, yeah, it's just how the whole thing works. That's my understanding with you know parish parish communities like that. They have staffing. They have the house again is I'd say 99% that was provided by the parish, but I could be wrong.
Hmm.
Um, Monty Woolley is great in this, by the way.
Oh, he
Absolutely,
is.
absolutely terrific. Again, you're talking about small parts and doing a lot with them. He's a little bit of a character actor, provides some background, but yeah, definitely appreciated him
So
in
now
this
that you
movie.
bring his character up, here's the other thing that
Yes.
really kind of made me raise an eyebrow. He keeps referring to that Roman coin as worthless.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry. You've got not it's not in bad condition and it's thousands of years old. There's
True.
no way that is worthless.
No, not worthless, but at the same time, when you think of like certain coins, if you had an old Roman silver or gold coin, you'd probably really have something. If you have a more common, they have found a lot of coins over the years and a lot of Roman coins. It's not that they're common, but they're out there, and some are worth more than others. So you
Somewhere,
might
but I can't think of any that again, this the way this professor talked about it, it sounded like he considered it absolutely worthless. So you
yeah,
can have this.
well, back back in, yeah, I don't think he considered it totally worthless. I think he probably looked at it as something that might, maybe if the bishop had taken it to someone, a numismatic man, and had the man look it over, they might have said, "Well, we'll give you $100 for it. It's rare, it's old, but it's not it's not gold, it's not so. I don't know what it was made of,
I
but
mean, it looked like silver.
could have been silver. If it was silver or gold, that adds to its value, of course, rather than just copper. But at the same time, it's like what's worthless to a person who's trying to build a multi-million-dollar parish. It's like, okay, well, I'll give you $100 towards building your parish. So, which he needed many thousands. He was trying to recruit some of the richest people in his community.
He did, but you're not get that from, all from one person. If some
No,
random guy gave you $100 towards your cause, that's pretty special, particularly after World War II.
yes, and also it kind of goes back to where the bishop's mindset was, though. He was losing track of what was important, and he could have been concentrating more on fundraisers for having some things that the parish and even his wife and kid could have helped to participate in, you know, whether they were bake sales, whether they were, that's the way people used to do it in the old days that I remember anyways. They would have
Back in my day,
fundraisers. I mean, if they needed to, repair a roof on a church or something, they would have fundraisers. They would do stuff to help because the Catholic Church has always looked at its cathedrals. There have been some magnificent cathedrals that have been torn down. I I live right near Lowell, Mass, and your grandmother was raised in Lowell, and she went to a church called St. Peter's, a magnificent basilica that was in Lowell, Mass. That church has been torn down. It was incredibly beautiful. It needed a lot of repairs. There, Lowell was known for a long time as being a big Catholic community. It's one of the many religions, but certainly probably the biggest for a long time. I don't know if it's the biggest anymore, but it was. And but they had more than one Catholic church in the city of Lowell, and the church at St. Peter's started needing repairs really bad, and the Catholic Church pretty much told St. Peter's, "We're not going to fix it. This is too costly. So you either raise the money to have." And a lot of people really tried. They worked hard on it. It needed so many repairs. There were some bad structural cracks in it. There were all kinds of things that needed to be done. And ultimately, they said, "Yeah, it's too costly. We don't have the funds." And that church is gone. It probably came down in the 80s. I still remember you couldn't even go into it when I went to visit it, and I actually metal detected on the the lawn of the church back in the day when I was probably 18, 19, something like that, and I found a silver dollar on the
there,
side of
there you
the.
go. It wasn't
Yeah.
Roman.
So, yep, it wasn't Roman, but and it wasn't enough to repair the church church either. Who knows? I might have got a few bucks for that, but I wouldn't have gotten enough to repair the church either.
But
So,
to get back to this movie,
yes.
did you know that originally David Niven was going to be the angel?
Well, and I think he would have made a good angel, but I don't think he would have done what Cary Grant did for the
This
role.
was an extraordinarily costly film. Uh,
Really?
yeah, because it started being made.
Yeah.
And then the producer, Samuel Goldwyn, he got a chance to look at how it was developing and he hated it.
Wow,
He
really?
he fired the director, hired a totally different director, almost started the entire film over from scratch,
Wow. I did
and
not
then
know that.
brought Cary Grant in to be the angel and shoved Niven over to be the bishop.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why David Niven looks so sour throughout this.
Yeah, I don't think he was that happy with the change.
No, no, he probably wasn't. However, there is no one, in my mind, there is no one that could have played that part like Cary Grant did.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it had to be Grant.
But between his charm, his looks, his charm, um, even just
He's
that,
got pure star power.
yeah.
It comes through.
Well, I mean, he convinces you he's an angel.
Hmm?
He really does. It's like he's when he's standing in the room and he keeps that little smile on his face almost the entire movie. You don't see it here, but he when he's talking to, and it's one of the things I think that really truly annoys David Niven when he's with them is that he a lot of times he'll be looking at him and he's wearing his silk scarf there. The maid gives him the scarf. She says, "Oh, I gave it to the bishop, but he never wore it, so you take it." And you see the bishop looking at his scarf, and he's like, "Wow, that was my scarf." But he's taking my wife. He's taking my scarf. Everybody liked him, and David Niven's looking at it like nobody likes me, but they all why do they all like him? But no, it's like I said, I think it's quite a beautiful story, and
I gotta say that the scene with the celery at the dinner table
oh my
was
God,
hilarious.
yeah, yeah, absolutely hilarious. It's and again, Cary Grant's just sitting there, sort of bemused, and uh, and David Niven is just like chewing his tongue there. Is like wow, but no, it's an incredible movie. If anyone that's watching right now, if you have never seen this movie, I urge you to check it out. If you at all love Christmas movies, and if it's not one that you've previously seen before, check it out because it's a beautiful story. It's spiritual for sure, but it's not like you have to be someone that's a religious person
I
to
don't know.
appreciate
The
it.
studio themselves tried to disassociate religion from this movie.
Really,
Like, they found that the audiences were avoiding The Bishop's Wife because they considered it to be a religious movie. And so Goldwyn had them make a bunch of posters that said Carrie and the Bishop's Wife.
right?
And by
Well,
associating that name with it, they assumed that it would be seen more as a rom-com and less as a religious film.
right, and that could be one of the answers to your question about the angel and Loretta Young, um, and the perceived romance is I think had he stayed around long enough, I think not only would she have fallen for him, but he probably would have started to desire her in ways that an angel shouldn't. So, so,
Well,
so
they should remake this movie and have them be a poly threesome.
well, yeah, you could do you could. um, that believe me, it was there was some edging there in that direction. But ultimately, what he ultimately says to David Niven, he tells him, he says, "You're a," because David Niven is furious with him and not really realizing all the help that he's given the man, and he says to him, you're an extremely lucky man, and
He's
he's
rare that
telling
I
him,
can be immortal.
yeah. So he definitely points out to him, it's like you know, don't look askance at that. Here he's got this painting of this church behind this cathedral, and he's got a temple right there in his own home, and it's his family. So, but no, beautiful story, beautifully told,
So,
and I think there was just the right amount of spirituality with that. No one hammers you over the head with it,
oh
but
yeah, not
you're
at all.
very aware that there's an important message being given to people, and the stuff was great, and the cab driver. he was so darn funny.
Sylvester.
Obviously, yeah, Sylvester, the cab driver. Obviously, they use some stunt doubles in this. That the skating when the cab driver is going along doing his whoa whoa, he's acting like he's falling. Um, that is some incredible stunt work. It's
Oh,
hard
that
to
was amazing.
dude. It's hard to skate and act like you're out of control.
Right, right. No, I watched that and I was amazed. That was some prime stunt skating.
Yeah, yeah, I was truly amazed, and they actually kept that scene going for quite a while. But it's again, it's one of those scenes that was important to the film. Not only did he change the cab driver, the cab driver was just your usual, you know, cranky old cab driver, and the cab driver was actually at the point where he was waiting to try to catch fares with these two. He had so much fun,
You didn't
and
want to miss the skating party.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He actually says that. But yeah, good old Sylvester. He was great in that. Now I see you've got the preacher's wife behind you,
Yeah, I as soon as I said they could remake it, I realized they did remake this.
and not well. Um,
I've never seen this. I mean, I've never seen the bishop's wife. I certainly have never seen the preacher's wife.
well,
Uh, but
one thing,
it seems
one
like
thing
a
I
good
can
movie.
say though about the preacher's wife as opposed to, um, or I should say, the remake of the preacher's wife, the preacher's wife, and that is, I actually had a hand in the making of that film.
Really?
Well, I'll tell you how I had a hand in making it. Penny Marshall bought a whole bunch of stuff for the in Maine at antique shops. We were doing a lot of work for New Line Cinema, and however it was that Penny Marshall decided to hire us, um, we ended up doing pickups all over the Maine coast. I mean, way up. Uh, maybe as far as Bangor. I think we might have even gone to Rockport. We went to a bunch of antique shops, picked up for it, and brought them down to a sound stage that was right near where they do SNL, or maybe a shared sound stage. But we brought this pretty much all the Christmas decorations, furniture, and set pieces for the preacher's wife.
Oh,
So
nice.
yes, as opposed to the bishop's wife. I did not. Of course I would have been in diapers. No, I wouldn't have even been born when this one was made. But so yeah, I do have some ties with the bishop's wife, and that's my claim to fame with
That's
with
pretty cool.
the preacher's wife, I should say. But yes, that's that's just a little bit of trivia on my part. So, but anyway, back to definitely, I definitely think that's a poorly made remake of what this one was. This was so well done. Not that they couldn't remake it, but I
I
don't
think
see
they
any.
could. I think they could easily remake this.
They could, however, I don't see any reason why, because it's so beautifully done. Um, to me, it's like someone saying, "Oh, let's remake It's a Wonderful Life," or
Which has
whatever.
done.
You can do it, but that doesn't mean it's going to be as loved or as special as the original. And you might be able to lure a new audience to a new version, but I don't think it's in the long run the way it's going to age. The best version is going to be your one. So, I mean, you can even have your coffee in a bishop's wife mug, but I don't know that there's a preacher's wife mug. Maybe there is, but
Maybe there is.
yeah, maybe there is. But
Basically, at this point in time, you can have anything put on a mug. You can have a
that's
jar.
that's true, or a T-shirt or anything else, and for relative cheap money too.
I know.
Um, but again, just getting back to, if you haven't seen this movie, I would urge you to see the movie. It's a beautiful film. It's a terrific addition to, if you're someone that watches a lot of Hollywood or a lot of Christmas classics, this is definitely one of them. And it could easily fit into your, one of your most loved Christmas time watches. So this one, It's a Wonderful Life. I also really enjoy Christmas in Connecticut, Holiday Affair.
A
Uh,
Christmas
th-
Story,
yeah.
Miracle on 34th Street. You
Oh
can't
yeah.
forget
Yeah.
that.
Beautiful story. Yep. So those are some of the ones that, for me, when I'm talking about film, those are, some of my favorites. But yeah, absolutely,
It's tough
absolutely.
to make a good Christmas film because it can so easily turn the corner into syrupy, saccharine.
Yeah. No, it's true. Well, believe it or not, that's the critics with the movie. With the movie "It's a Wonderful Life."
Mm.
Um, they were like, "Oh, Capra put out this like syrupy sweet." It's
Well, they sort of had a point.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a good movie, but it is kind of syrupy sweet.
Well, it's, to me, that movie. I don't know, the message that it gives you. It's that's probably one of my most loved Christmas, probably the most loved one that I try to see at Christmas time. And I just think the message is so beautiful, um, which, again, so much of it is how one life does affect so many other people's lives, for
It's
better or
not too
worse.
different than this movie. This movie reminded me of It's a Wonderful Life quite a bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's similar themes. It's and again, it's, we're, as human beings, we kind of have a responsibility, and I don't think a lot of people really realize it or take it seriously. But when you're living on this earth, you can make people's lives better or worse. You can make people's lives miserable or happy. And if you're someone that just is selfish in your life, or just goes about your life, like not really caring, or trying to, give other people love and nurture them, whether it's your family, whether it's your wife, your husband, your daughter, son, whatever.
Heck, even
Or-
just a stranger you meet on the street.
exactly. Or if you're a boss and you've got employees, there's a line in A Christmas Carol where he's the Scrooge is actually feeling some. It's after the spirit takes him to see Fezziwig, and how Fezziwig, his boss, had been so kind to them. And he's kind of looking a little bit askance, and the ghost says, "What's the matter?" And he says, "Oh, nothing." He says, I just kind of wish I could say something to my clerk just now." And the ghost kind of dismisses it as, well, what big thing did he do? A few pittance of his wealth that he, put on these people to. And he goes, "Well, it's not that, ghost." He says, he goes, an employer can make a person's, work life or life period lighter or heavier. You make their burden, hard or easy. And like I said, he actually starts to realize, it's like, yeah, you actually can, like, really, play a huge part in making people's lives a lot better. And a lot of employers don't. It's like, just pound the people to death to get them to work the way you want them to work. And it's not about, again, these are all things when you go about your daily life, and I'm not not trying to I'm not trying to preach here or be the preacher's wife, but no, again, it's how you treat other people, and I think that's a big message that's in It's a Wonderful Life, and it's in this.
Well,
And
to bring it back to this movie,
yes,
um, this movie was a little scattered for me. That being said, two thumbs up. It's a solid Christmas movie. There's no denying it.
yeah, yeah, I fully agree. It's why I picked it. I again, as far as Alicia goes, my niece Alicia, your cousin, I have to uh, I have to give her full credit for making me realize what a gem it is. I easily give it two thumbs up. I would give it more had I more thumbs to offer. So yes,
But yeah, solid entry into the Christmas genre.
yeah, yep. You actually have a big shoes to fill. So, so
Oh, are you asking me for my next choice?
yes, because I think
That's why I'm going with the classics.
okay,
So let me just say, on a side note, I thought you were into Christmas. I'm sorry. I thought you were a big fan. You only have four versions of A Christmas Carol.
well, yeah, you know,
Only four, Mike.
yeah. Well, it's hard it's actually hard to come by good versions. I
It really
actually
is.
have a couple of versions that I'm not as fond of that I do own. Um, I love some of the early ones, and I'm a stickler. And by the way, I did do for anyone that cares to listen, I did do a reading of A Christmas Carol. It's in five parts for the five chapters or
A
staves.
timeless classic.
Yep, and which I used to read it to all my nieces and nephews when they were younger, or I tried to do it with all of them. But and over the years, I definitely that was a tradition. So yes, I do love a Christmas Carol, and so yes, I do have at least four versions of it. There's also that one Scrooged, which is the Bill Murray one, and I own it, but I have a love hate thing with that one.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was so excited when
Yeah,
I heard about that. I'm like, Bill
yeah,
Murray, it was a parody of A Christmas Carol. I went to the theater as soon as I could to see that.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
disappointing.
yeah. My feeling on that one is disappointment. It's I've seen it more than once, and I won't say I hate it or I
No, it's
dislike.
not hateable.
No, but it's like it was such a missed opportunity
Mhm.
that could have been. I feel like and Bill Murray sometimes plays things too big, or at least he did when he was younger sometimes. But I feel like he really overplayed his hand in that one, and I think a lot of the actors that were in it, it was um, it's too much. It's his smarminess, the way it comes off in that, and you don't ever feel like even when he has his change of heart at the end, he still sounds like he's being this
Yeah.
smug jerk, and it's like, wow, dude. So like I said, that's a version of it that I
So that
own.
being said,
Yeah.
my choice for the next movie is going to be the 1970 film Scrooge, starring Albert Finney.
Oh, okay. And that's a good one.
I
Um,
really, it is the main, it's probably one of the earliest ones I've ever seen, and it's always stuck with me as the yardstick to compare others to.
yeah. Well, so much, and again, talking about A Christmas Carol, so much of what to me makes the movie a great movie is how close they stick to the dialogue, the
Mhm.
original, the original book and the original wording. And I've seen so many versions that they leave out certain phrases, and I think, you know, it's so much more effective when you keep to the original dialogue. So yeah, I tend to be a purist with that, and
I
I
like
don't.
the George C. Scott one.
Yep,
I
yep.
was
That's a good
shocked at how much I like the Henry Winkler one.
one. Yeah, I can't say that I can't say that I love that one, but it's okay. Um, I've seen a few newer ones that were done well, but the Patrick Stewart one is,
I've never seen that one.
really, yeah, because
Yeah.
that one's out there also, and I believe I own that version. Um, maybe I don't, but I thought I did. But yeah, like I said, there's been so many different versions over the years. So you're definitely going with the Albert Finney one.
The Albert
Um,
Finney one. Again, in my mind, it's the definitive.
yeah. Well, we shall see. So,
No, it's true because it's been well over 10, 15 years since I've seen that version.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, now we'll have to do all of the so,
Next
but
year,
no,
we're doing nothing but A Christmas
yeah,
Carol.
yeah, yeah, nonstop till after New Year's. No, we won't subject everyone to that. But so next week is going to be A Christmas Carol.
Well, Scrooge.
Scrooge, yeah.
It's
Um,
very important because when I first started looking for this in the library, I was looking for A Christmas Carol, and I'm like, I don't see Albert Finney anywhere. And it wasn't until I
yeah,
typed in Albert Finney that it led me to Scrooge.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard because not every one of them actually put, for whatever reason, there's no copyright thing on A Christmas Carol, but there is a guy who actually posted something, um, and it was when I did the when I put up the A Christmas Carol, when I was uploading those, um, and all five chapters are up, by the way, if anyone wants to check it out. But somebody did post, and this guy apparently has a YouTube page. He posted that he's got this whole argument that Charles Dickens did not write A Christmas Carol.
I,
And
it's hard to prove. It's like, did Shakespeare
well,
really write Hamlet? Like,
right, and
I
that's
don't
the
know.
right, and that's the thing that I feel is like so crazy and ridiculous about the whole thing, because it's like, who did somebody plagiarize this or that or whatever, when the person's not even alive to defend themselves, or when there's not the people that were around, the ones that he is saying he believes uh, wrote the story, um, they're not around to defend it, or say it's not true. So to me, you're doing an injustice, and without better evidence than
Yeah,
what he
I
has.
gotta say, in my mind, it's pretty accepted that Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol.
Yes,
Now, if someone shows me evidence to the contrary, I'm open to looking at that.
sure, sure, but at the same time, you got a long way to go to prove to me that Charles Dickens did not write that, and he has a certain style and way of
Let's have a
writing,
style.
and I think any Dickens, authority on that would agree that that was Dickens that wrote it. But again, I'm not gonna get into that. But there is a guy for sure he's made himself known
But
around.
that's a discussion for our next video.
Sure. So we'll call it a day on this one. Again, I thank everybody for that has tuned in, and please leave a like, subscribe if you would, and we're a small channel, support us. We're going to bring you another uh, Christmas themed
A Christmas
movie.
classic.
Yes. So get ready for Albert Finney and Dom's pick for next week. So having said that, Dom, it was fun, and we will call it quits for another week. Uh, Good to be with you, and see you next week.
Yep, thanks for watching, and we'll be coming back next week with another movie.
All right. See you, folks.